Zura opened her eyes slowly. Everything was cold. The air smelled like metal and smoke. She tried to move, but her arms were weak. Her head hurt, and her memory was not clear. Where was she? She remembered the crash. Her ship had been hit. It fell from the sky like a dying bird. Now she was here wherever here was. She blinked, trying to focus. Bright lights above her made it hard to see. Slowly, her vision cleared. She was inside a cage. The walls were steel. The door was locked. And outside the cage stood a human. Her heart started to race. Humans, the monsters. Her teachers told her stories. Stories of how humans eat alien flesh, how they tear skin and boil bones. She had laughed at those stories. But now, she was inside one. The fear was real. The human stepped closer. Tall, strong, covered in armor, his face showed no smile. He looked at her like a hunter. In his hand, he held something. A knife? A tool? A weapon? Zura pressed herself against the wall. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Not like this." But then, nothing happened. No pain, no scream, just silence. Zura opened one eye. The human was holding out a blanket, a soft, warm blanket. He didn't hurt her. He didn't shout. He just placed the blanket on the ground and stepped back. Zura stared at the cloth like it was a trap. Was this some kind of trick? Why would a human be kind? She did not understand. But she was cold, slowly, carefully. She picked up the blanket and wrapped it around her shoulders. The human spoke. His voice was deep, but calm. "You're safe now," he said. Safe. That word made no sense. How could she be safe in the hands of a human? Her people said humans were wild, unpredictable, hungry for war, hungry for alien meat. But this one offered warmth. Later, more humans came. They didn't point guns. They didn't yell. They just watched her, spoke quietly, took notes. One of them gave her water. Another gave her food. Real food, not poison. Zora tasted it slowly, expecting pain, but the food was warm, fresh. It filled her empty belly. What do they want from me? She thought, why haven't they eaten me yet? Her fear did not go away, but it changed. Now it was mixed with confusion, doubt, curiosity. On the third day, she was moved out of the cage. Into a clean white room, there was a bed, a light, a screen. It looked like a hospital. A soft voice spoke from a speaker. "Welcome, Zura." She froze. They knew her name. She never told them her name. How did they know? A man walked in, older, with scars on his face. His eyes were tired but kind. He sat down in front of her. "I'm Commander Rel," he said. "I'm not your enemy." Zora stayed quiet. He continued. "I know what they told you." He looked at her carefully. "They said, we eat aliens, didn't they?" She didn't reply, but he smiled sadly. "They said the same about your kind." She felt her chest grow tight. Was it possible both sides were wrong? She looked at him closely. His face? There was pain in his eyes, not anger, not hate, something else. Regret. Commander Rel stood up and walked to the screen. He pressed a button. A video played. Ships flying, explosions, cities burning, children crying, alien weapons striking human homes. She watched in silence. Her people, her army, had done this. She had done this. Zora wanted to close her eyes, but she couldn't look away. Commander Rel spoke again. "You were told we are monsters." He turned to her. "But we protect our own." He stepped closer. "You are not a prisoner," he said. "You are the key." Zura's heart stopped for a moment. Key? Key to what? The room was silent again, but in her mind, a storm had begun. She had expected humans to eat her, but not like that, not with food, care, and questions. This was not the war she had prepared for, and this was just the beginning. Zura woke up without chains. That was the first surprise. No guards, no locked doors. Only silence. The cage was gone. Now she stood in a quiet room, clean walls, soft lights. And one single door open. She stepped forward, expecting alarms or soldiers, but nothing happened. She took another step. Then another. Still, no one came. No one stopped her. It didn't feel like freedom. It felt like a test. The hall outside was strange, too calm, too empty. Human machines floated near the ceiling. Cameras followed her every move. She felt like a mouse in a maze. She wanted to run, but her feet stayed slow. Careful, her warrior training whispered. This is not kindness. This is a trap. She walked past a window and stopped. Her breath caught in her throat. Outside the glass was Earth, blue, alive, beautiful clouds moved like whispers across oceans. She had studied this world in war school, the enemy planet, the savage nest of humanity. But no one told her it would look so. Peaceful, behind her, a soft voice spoke. You can leave any time. Zura turned fast. It was Commander Rel, standing alone. No guards, no gun, just his calm eyes. Why are you doing this? She asked. Her voice was hard, but her hands shook. You? Don't lock me. You feed me. You show me your home. She stepped closer. Are you trying to make me forget the war? Commander Rel didn't answer right away. He looked out the window with her. I'm trying to show you the truth, he said. You've been lied to. Zura laughed, but it was a cold sound, and you expect me to believe you? Rel nodded slowly. No, he said, but I hope you'll choose to find out yourself. He handed her a small tablet. A screen glowed with files, images, voices, reports from her own empire, the one she thought was perfect. She saw things she was never meant to see: civilian bombings, secret orders, child experiments. One video showed a creature just like her, but screaming as scientists cut into her. Zura dropped the tablet, her hands shaking. This is fake, she whispered, but her voice had no strength. Rel picked up the device and placed it back in her hands. Use your own eyes, he said, not the ones they gave you. She walked away, back to the room, but her thoughts followed her. Like shadows, she remembered training camps. They gave her injections, told her pain made her strong, told her humans deserved to burn, told her kindness was a weakness. But these humans didn't act like monsters. They acted like people, strange, damaged. But people. Later that night, a woman entered the room. Not a soldier, a scientist. She smiled nervously and offered a small cup. Tea, she said. Zura looked at the cup, then at the woman. Why are you all being nice to me? She asked. The woman hesitated. Because once, we were not. That answer sat inside Zura like a stone. She sat in silence, watching the walls. Her eyes drifted to a mirror. She looked at her own face, her alien skin, her sharp features, but something behind her eyes felt different, weaker, softer. She hated it, and yet it didn't feel wrong. The door opened again. This time, Rel was not smiling. His voice was serious. We've decoded your ship's data logs, he said. You didn't crash. By accident, Zura stood up quickly. What do you mean? Rel handed her a map. Her ship's route, red marks showing planned failure points. Explosive signals, hidden codes. You were sent here to be captured, he said. You were the message. Zura felt the ground shift under her feet. A message. She whispered. To say what? Rel stared into her eyes. To see if humans will eat you, he said. To see if we are the monsters they told you about. Silence filled the room. Zura's hands clenched at her sides. If this was true, okay, her people had used her like bait, not as a warrior, not as a soldier, but as a test, and the humans Past, but what would she do now? Could she ever go back? Would they even take her back? Or had she already changed too much? She sat on the bed, her voice quiet. "You opened my cage," she said. "But I don't know if I can escape myself." Rel nodded once. "That's the real prison," he said. "And only you have the key." Zura couldn't sleep. The bed was soft, the room quiet. But her mind was full of noise. Loud voices from her past, soft voices from this place. And one voice she couldn't shut off her own. She stared at the ceiling, her fingers twitching. With energy she didn't understand, anger, fear, maybe guilt, maybe all at once, that morning. The humans brought her something new. Not food, not water, but a device. It was small, black and old. Burn marks across the side, a piece of her ship's black box, recovered from the crash. Zura hesitated before taking it. This box held flight. Logs, mission data, secret messages. She was trained to protect it at all costs. And now it was in her hands again. But this time, the humans wanted her to open it. And this time, she wanted to know too. The door closed behind her. She was alone with the truth. Or at least, the chance to face it. She connected the device to the human console. The screen flickered. Symbols from her language filled the air, familiar, yet now strange. Then a video played, a private command briefing. She saw her commander back on the ship. His voice echoed in her ears. "Operation Emberwing has one goal. Test the human response. We do not expect her to return. She is the fire we throw into their nest." Zura's breath caught, no emotion in his face, no regret. She had followed every order, fought for them, believed in them. But to them, she was just a tool, expendable, replaceable, disposable. Another video began. It was her younger, scared, tied to a chair in a cold lab. Scientists poked, injected, whispered. The human genes are reacting faster than expected. She's adapting faster than any hybrid before. Hybrid, the word slammed into her like a blade. They called her alien, but they used human DNA to make her, to shape her, to weaponize her. She dropped the console and backed away. Her heart pounded like thunder. She touched her own face like it was someone else's. Who was she? What was she? The door burst open. It was Rel. He had watched from the control room. He knew she saw it all. Zura looked at him with wide eyes. "You knew?" Rel nodded slowly. "We suspected," he said. "But it had to be you who saw it." She punched the wall. Pain shot through her arm. But not enough. Nothing could hurt as much as the truth. "Why didn't you tell me?" she shouted. "Because truth doesn't work like that," he said. "You don't hear it, you feel it." Zura turned away. Tears burned behind her eyes, not from sadness, but from fury, the kind that changes you. "You were made to hate us," Rel said. "But you were made from us too." He paused. "Maybe that's why you survived." Zura didn't reply. She just walked out. The hallway felt longer now, her feet heavier. Every step filled with something dangerous awareness. She entered the training room, grabbed a wooden stick from the wall, and began to strike the target, again and again and again. Not for war, not for orders, but for control. Her control. The door behind her opened again. This time, it was the female scientist she held. A report in her hand. "Your cells are changing," she said. Zura didn't stop hitting the dummy. "Changing how?" The scientist looked nervous. "You're healing faster, thinking faster. Your brain is syncing with old human tech without help." She took a breath. "You were designed to evolve near humans." Zura froze. She looked at her own hands. A alien skin. The human motion. A weapon that changes based on the enemy. But what if the enemy was never real? She dropped the stick. Her voice was quiet now. What happens to a weapon when it no longer wants to fight? The scientist didn't answer because no one knew. That night, Zura stood in front of the window again. The stars stared back, cold, ancient, silent. She used to believe the stars told her who she was. But now she saw them differently, not as orders from above, but questions, burning questions behind her. Rel's voice came one more time. "Your people called you a scout," he said. "But maybe you're something else." A signal. Zura didn't move, didn't speak. She just stared at the stars. As the truth inside her burned quietly, not like a fire to destroy, but like a fire to become something new. Zura was tired of mirrors. Every time she looked into one, she saw a lie, an enemy, a tool, a thing shaped for war. But this morning, something felt different. She didn't recognize the face staring back, not because it had changed, but because it finally looked real. Her skin still held that pale silver hue. Her eyes still glowed faintly under the light. But beneath all that, something was waking up. Something buried, something old. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The human scientist Mira stepped inside. She carried a small case, nervous but calm. "We need to run one more scan," she said. Zura didn't speak. She just nodded and followed. They entered a new chamber. Colder than the others, machines surrounded the walls like watchers. In the center stood a seat, half human, tech, half alien. Zura sat slowly, feeling. Metal press against her spine, wires reached out like vines, wrapping gently around her arms. Then it began. Lights blinked, signals hummed, and deep inside her, something moved, not physically, but deeper, like memories stirring in a long sleep. "Your DNA isn't just modified," Mira said. "It's alive, reacting to your thoughts, your environment. It holds something we've never seen before." Zura closed her eyes. Suddenly she wasn't in the room anymore. She was somewhere else, dark, red, and warm. She saw a lab, not human, not alien, but both. Shadows moved behind glass. Figures in white coats speaking in two voices. One human, one from her empire. They argued, "She's not ready. We need her now. If she remembers too soon, she'll break." Then she saw herself younger, smaller. Her body floating in a tank, wires in her spine, light in her veins. Her eyes opened for the first time. And they were afraid, not of her weakness, but of her potential. Zura gasped. Pulling herself out of the vision, her body shook. Her chest rose and fell like thunder. Mira touched her arm. "You saw something?" she said. Zura nodded. Slowly, "I was born in a lie," she whispered, "and raised in fear." Her mind kept flashing back. Images too fast, too broken. A woman screaming, a fire, a lullaby in a human voice. And then, silence. "Mira," she said. "Was I always like this?" The scientist paused, then handed her a file. "Your blood test revealed something strange," she said. "Part of your DNA doesn't match your empire's design. It's older." Human. Zura stared at her. "Are you saying I was human?" Mira nodded. "You were taken, Zura," she said. "Modified, rebuilt, turned into what they needed. But you started as one of us." Zura stood up slowly. Her body felt heavy. But her steps were steady. She walked to the mirror again, and for the first time, she didn't see an alien. She saw a survivor. She remembered things now, not clearly, but enough. Hands holding hers, a laugh. A name she couldn't fully hear. But it felt like home. She turned to Mira. "Why are you showing me all this?" Mira looked serious. "Because your empire will come for you, and when they do, you'll need to know who you are." Later that day, alarms echoed across the facility. Zura stood on the roof, watching the sky above the clouds. Ships were moving fast, dark, and silent. Not human ships, hers. Commander Rel stepped beside her. "They found you," he said. Zura didn't reply. She was still watching the ships. "They won't ask nicely," Rel added. I know, she said. Quietly, but I won't go back as their weapon. He looked at her. You sure you're ready? Zora's eyes glowed brighter. I was never ready before, she said. Now? I'm not ready. I'm awake. The wind blew across the rooftop. Her hair danced like fire in a storm, and inside her blood, the truth burned, not like pain, but like purpose. The sky broke open, not with thunder, but with silence too sharp to ignore. 3 black ships hovered above the clouds. No lights, no signals, just shadows with purpose. Zora stood on the rooftop of the human facility. The wind pulled at her jacket. Her eyes locked on the ships like a wolf spotting its pack. But this wasn't family. This was cleanup. This was erasure. They're not here to talk, Commander Rel said beside her. They're here to make sure you don't speak again, Zora. Didn't flinch. She had expected this. Her memory was coming back piece by piece. And every piece made one thing clear. She was never meant to return home. Only to break, quietly, down below. Alarms blared. Soldiers moved quickly through steel corridors. Doors locked, defense turrets activated. But everyone knew it wouldn't be enough. The Empire didn't send warnings. It sent ends. Zora turned away from the sky, her voice calm but cold. Get everyone underground. Rel raised an eyebrow. You're going to fight. She nodded once. I was made for war, she said, but this time I choose what I fight for. Minutes later, the first blast came. One of the black ships fired a pulse downwards. The outer wall of the compound exploded. Metal twisted like paper, dust, and heat swept across the ground. Zora moved fast. Her feet almost didn't touch the floor. Her body reacted before her mind could think. It wasn't training. It was instinct, awakened. 3 alien hunters dropped from the ship. Tall, armored, glowing with energy. Her people, her creators. Now her executioners. They didn't speak. They recognized her immediately. One pointed at her and tapped his helmet. Target located. He said in her language. Terminate. She didn't. Wait, she ran. Not away, toward them. The first hunter swung a plasma blade. Zora ducked and rolled beneath it. Her fingers found a fallen human weapon. She grabbed it. It hummed like it had waited for her all along. The second hunter charged. She met him head-on. No fear, no mercy. Her foot hit his chest too hard. He flew back and crashed into a wall. Zora stared at her own hand, glowing. Crackling with energy she didn't understand. She's activating. One of the hunters growled. She's crossing phase 3. The third one backed away slightly. Even they feared what she could become. From behind, more humans arrived. Mira, the scientist, threw Zora a strange device. Use it, she shouted. Zora caught it. Her instincts flared again. She pressed the trigger. A wave of EMP energy blasted out. 2 hunters froze, armor sparking. Zora didn't waste the moment. She moved like lightning. 2 strikes, 2 bodies on the ground. The last hunter stood. The leader, his mask opened, revealing his face. Cold, sharp, familiar. Zora, he said, you are not one of them. Zora breathed hard. Sweat ran down her neck. I'm not one of you either, she said. You built me. But I chose myself. The hunter's eyes narrowed. Then you are broken. He raised his weapon. She raised hers. They moved at the same time. Blades clashed. Sparks flew. Their fight was fast, too fast for human eyes. But Zora was more than human now. Their weapons locked, he whispered. You were our greatest project. Zora pushed him back. I'm not your project, she growled. I'm your problem. With a final strike, she broke his weapon in half. Her blade stopped just before his throat. He stared at her, not with anger, but something close to respect or maybe fear. You'll regret this, he said. No, she replied. You will. She stepped away. The hunter collapsed. Alarms quieted. Smoke rose from broken walls. But inside Zora, something had settled. Not peace, not pride, but clarity. She walked back to Rel. Myra followed, still wide-eyed. "You just fought 3 of your own," Rel said. Zora shook her head. "They're not mine." She said, "Not anymore." He looked at her differently now, not as a guest, not as a weapon, but as an ally. Zora turned her eyes back to the sky. The ships were retreating for now, but the hunt had only just begun. Zora stood in silence as the sun began to rise. The light touched the broken edges of the compound. Blood, dust, metal, glowing gold. Everything around her had changed, but not as much as what had changed inside her. She watched as the humans cleaned the battlefield, not with joy, not with celebration, but with quiet hands and tired eyes. They had survived, but they had lost too. A soldier handed her a water bottle. Zora took it without a word. She sat near the ruined wall, and for the first time in her life, she felt tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the kind that comes when your soul has run too far. She closed her eyes and listened. To wind, to breath, to distant footsteps, to the part of her that still didn't know where she went. Demors, know where she was. Belonged. Children were watching her from behind a broken vehicle. One of them stepped forward, a little girl with wild hair and curious eyes. She held up a paper, folded and crumpled. Zora took it gently and opened it. It was a drawing. Stick figures. A human, a child, and someone with glowing eyes and silver skin. The figure in the middle had a heart on its chest. The child pointed at it. "That's you," she said with a smile. Zora looked at the drawing for a long time, then looked at the girl. "Why do I have a heart?" she asked softly. The child shrugged. "Because heroes have hearts." Zora didn't know what to say. No one had ever called her that before, not even herself. Later that day, Rel found her. In the training room, she wasn't training. She was just standing still, watching her reflection in the mirrored wall. "You did good," Rel said. She shook her head. "I was fast. I was strong. I won the fight. But I don't know if that means I did good." He stepped beside her. "In war, survival is sometimes all we get." Zora looked at him. "Is that what being human means? Surviving the pain?" Rel took a deep breath. "No," he said. "Being human means carrying the pain, but still choosing not to become it." Zora looked at her reflection again. She remembered her past, the scientists, the Empire, the training, the screams, the missions, the silence that always followed. Now, there were voices around her, laughing, crying, shouting, singing, messy, loud, real, things she never had, but maybe wanted that night. Mira showed her one last file, hidden in old records, a human woman, long hair, soft eyes, a scar on her cheek. Her name was Sela Arden. The report said she disappeared during a raid. DNA confirmed. She was Zora's biological mother. Zora's hands trembled as she read. She tried to stop them. Mira said, "She fought to keep you." Zora nodded slowly. Tears filled her eyes but didn't fall. "She lost." Mira shook her head. "Maybe she didn't. Maybe you're the proof she didn't." Outside, warning sirens echoed once more. The Empire wasn't done. Another signal came through the sky. Not a ship, a message. Zora stood in the comms room as it played, a voice from her past. Cold, clear, direct. "Return immediately, or we will erase everything below you." The humans turned to her, waiting, watching, hoping. Zora looked at the screen, then at the people beside her. The soldier who brought her tea. The child who drew her a heart. The commander who treated her like more than a weapon. She stepped forward and pressed the button, her voice steady, her eyes glowing. "I am not your tool," she said into the mic. "I am not your mistake. And if you come for them, I will become the storm you tried to bury." The room was quiet. Rel broke the silence. "You didn't have to do that." Zura nodded. "I did, because I may not be fully human, but I am human. Enough." And this time, she believed it. The sky was darker than night. No stars, no moon, only the shadow of what was coming. Zura stood at the edge of the launch platform. Her hair moved with the wind, her hands glowed faintly. Inside her, the storm was ready. The Empire had sent their answer, a battle cruiser 10 times the size of the human base. No message this time, no more warnings. Only death coming from the clouds. Sirens screamed, soldiers ran. Civilians hid in underground bunkers, but everyone knew this fight wasn't for the humans. It was for her, and her alone. Commander Rel approached her, his voice steady, but low. "We can still evacuate." Zura shook her head. "I've run from myself long enough." Mira handed her a device, a small silver ring alien tech connected to her biology. "This will activate your last phase," she said. Zura held it tightly. "What happens if I lose control?" Myra looked down. "Then you become exactly what they feared." Zura closed her eyes. She thought of the child's drawing, the paper heart, the tea, the sunset. The human memories that didn't belong to her body, but now lived inside her soul. She placed the ring on her finger, and pain exploded in her veins. Fire, lightning, memory, heat. Her skin cracked with golden light. Her body lifted slightly off the ground. Her eyes burned brighter than the sun. Then silence. She floated there. Not human, not alien. Something new. Something neither side had ever planned for. From above, the enemy ship opened fire. Zora didn't move. She raised one hand, and the blast froze in midair, like time itself bowed to her will. She looked at the sky and whispered, "You made me a weapon, but you forgot one thing. Weapons can point the other way." With a flash, she shot upward, breaking through sound and cloud. The human base trembled below. People watched. From screens and bunkers, no one spoke. They could only feel her. Like a comet choosing its own path inside the Empire cruiser. Alarms screamed. Soldiers panicked. Her name echoed through the ship like a ghost. Zura is coming. Zura is awake. She tore through the outer hall with her bare hands. No armor, no ship, just will, just choice, inside. Her creators waited. Cold eyes, sharp voices. "You are property," one said. "You are purpose," said another. She answered with silence and a punch that split steel. She didn't want to kill, but she would not allow this machine to exist. This system that stole children, this empire that built soldiers out of broken, lives in the heart of the ship. She found it. The control core. A living machine, half organic, linked to thousands of war units. She reached for it. It pulsed, sensing her blood. It tried to obey her. She whispered, "No more." And then she shut it down, not with power, but with decision. The system collapsed. Ships far away dimmed. Weapons across the galaxy went blind. The war machine died by the hand it had made. Zora fell from the sky like a star. Her body burned through the shoes. Her body burned through the sea. Clouds. The humans ran outside, watching the sky. A golden light streaked across the dawn. She crashed into the earth near the base. Smoke and dust rose. Soldiers rushed to the crater. No movement, no sound. Just heat and silence. Then a cough. A small groan. Zura sat up slowly. Her body scarred, her glow fading, but her eyes still burning. Rel pulled her out. "You're alive," he said. She nodded. Mostly. Mira arrived, crying and laughing at the same time. "You did it," she whispered. Zura looked at her hands. "They made me a weapon," she said. "But I chose to become a shield." A week later, she stood before a council. Human leaders, scientists, survivors. They asked, "What are you now?" Zira smiled softly. I don't know, she said, but I'm not theirs, and I'm not a tool. I'm something new. She turned to walk away. Children followed her. Soldiers saluted, not because she destroyed a ship, but because she saved what made them human, and maybe it's what made her human too.